I don't know if it's on.
Are we ready to go?
No, I don't know. Are we? It's 1:30.
All right.
All right.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining. I'm sure you're all used to this by now, but Q&A through the app if you can. And those that are watching virtually, you do it through the platform. Yeah, at the end, we'll go through the Q&A. But for now, I'll pass it off to these lovely gentlemen.
Fantastic. And there's our slides. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is Compliance Made Even Easier, and thank you for the virtual audience that's attending. I know we freaked out Alan a little bit by keeping him up to date on the attendance, and now he goes to the corner of the stage.
I can see. There's no, the light's not.
So first of all, my name is Matt Woodruff. I'm at Jamf. Been here for about 8 years, and
I'm Alan Goldbig. I'm at Jamf. I've been here 2 years.
Yeah. Pretty great addition to our team. Quick agenda, just so that you're aware of kind of what we're going to be going through. We'd like to take you on a quick journey, more specifically around the macOS and security and what that background story has been. And so I'll do a portion of that. Then we would also like to introduce you, in case you have not seen it yet, to the Jamf Compliance Editor tool. Next will also be videos. Alan's going to be able to go really technical with you in regards to how do you use it, what do you do with it, and executables of enforcement of security benchmarks. So that's going to be a meat of the session today. And then we'll also show you how to customize those components. And if you've ever looked and reviewed either CIS or NIST, you know that your organization is probably going to have to customize a lot of the controls to make it applicable and productive for your end users. So with that, let's take a quick journey regarding what is the macOS Security Compliance Project. We were very proud and pleased to see that it was part of our keynote this year. Apple has also made a lot of references in regards to this tool that is available from NIST, but more specifically, what's the history? Why did this come about? Why are we even talking about this today? So there was a journey of quite a few of us sitting down at JNUC 2017, possibly 2018. We sat down at a little table and we were all honestly thinking the same thing. You look at CIS control number, blah, blah, blah. NIST has 853, 800-171, and look at these controls. They're all the same. They do the same thing. They try to execute the same control and setting on macOS. Why not uniform that? And more specifically, there was one pain point we were trying to get across, and that is, wow, these come very long after Apple releases the macOS update. So, thankfully, this project got through and got worked on and got picked up by NIST, and that was the normalization that we needed to have this government oversight without third-party interference. And therefore now, all these controls are appropriately being mapped. And more importantly, if you've monitored the macOS Security Compliance Project since its inception, you'll actually see that it's been able to provide guidance before each macOS update each year. So that's been a really wonderful thing to see. There is one quick story I'd like to take you on, and that was, I believe it was last year, and that was a Department of Energy laboratory that is, has top secret information within it, and they've been able to present macOS Ventura to their CISO, got approval to release it, and allowed to deploy it the day it was released because the macOS Security Compliance Project was able to have all the controls mapped for Ventura that day. So it was fabulous. It was the first time in history that Alan and I are aware of, and many others. So that was wonderful. Now, this quote came from Jordan, which we are very thankful has now moved on to a new role in the fintech industry, but the MSCP project makes a daunting task approachable for Mac admins of all skill levels, creating easy-to-comprehend reports for InfoSec and auditors. As we know, when you're trying to enforce compliance on any endpoints, you're going to have audits. That's the purpose of security. It's the purpose of compliance and regulation. So Jordan, thankfully, had a wonderful quote to show the value there. So this is hosted by NIST, as mentioned before. They were both part of the initial planning. They were part of that little round table, but they were also part of the development and thankfully hosting it on their GitHub. So at any point, you can absolutely go to the GitHub and take a look at that project. Now, in regards to who helped create this, NIST, DISA, NASA, and Los Alamos National Labs, part of the Department of Energy here in the US, they were the 4 main horsemen of the apocalypse. No, I'm joking. The main 4 horsemen that helped build out this project within the GitHub. Alan was a really big portion of that, given he was formerly at NASA. So that was a great adventure for all of us, including bringing Alan into Jamf allowed us to continue our presence in assisting this project and getting it built out. So these are the main organizations that are continuing the effort of building out macOS Security Compliance Project. And with that, yes, it's a QR code. If you trust me, go and scan the, scan the code and head over to the GitHub project and you'll take a look at what's there. And then more specifically, last year, we do want to call to, was he DISA at that time or was he? He already moved to NASA, Dan Brzezinski?
Yeah, he was already. Yeah.
Okay. So Dan Brzezinski and a few others were able to do a wonderful session at JNUC last year and
I was
completing
on the
this. Yeah. That's awesome. See, he's always in it. You just don't know sometimes. But they were on that. And then I think we get to head over to you. The next few slides.
Sure. So the project's awesome. I've been working on it for quite a while now. But there are some things about it. Not everybody's comfortable with command line. You need command line tools because it requires Python. You had to use Ruby, so we had to install some Ruby gems. And so also, for everyone here, once you created everything from the project, you needed to manually upload all the things into Jamf Pro. So we didn't have a mechanism for that. Because basically the project was designed to be MDM vendor agnostic, and it still remains to be that way. Also, you can tailor a baseline, but it's kind of this very long-winded procedure. I gave a workshop at Penn State about a couple months ago where we did the whole project, talked through the whole thing, and then in the last 45 minutes I showed the app and everybody hated me. So, okay, so it wasn't hate, it was more like, why didn't you do this in the beginning? And then they tortured me by making me have to do one of the examples. So, when I joined Jamf, I was approached by somebody in professional services who wanted to make it easier for our customers to use the project. And so that's where Jamf Compliance Editor came in. And so we released this in October of 22. It is a native macOS app developed in Swift. We've embedded a lot of the requirements. MSCP project, we made it so that the Ruby gems are not using system. So when you load the app, you don't need to put admin password in for anything. As well, there is a one-click button once you generate all the things to upload it into Jamf Pro. And that's using the API rolling clients now, so that's even been updated recently. And most importantly, this is a free tool. That was something we fought for. It's an open source project, so we wanted to make it sure that everybody could use it. Whether you're using Jamf or not using Jamf, it's free. And it's provided by us. We keep it up to date. We have a fantastic developer. I'm going to give him a shout out, Richard. We couldn't have done it without him. And so, requirements. As of version 1.2, you need macOS 13 or higher. We've added a feature that requires a privileged helper, and so we wanted to do it the right way, so we did that with the new features that are in macOS Ventura. We also, we've bundled Python 3, and we don't use the system Ruby, so You don't need to grab those, and then you just need an internet connection to grab the content from GitHub. Oh, and download the Ruby gems.
Oh, yeah. So you can keep the clicker.
Okay.
Downloading this, trusted.jamf.com. So once again, we have the QR code to take you directly to it. It's a free tool. There's two major things that we want you to be aware of regarding that specific page, and that is the user guide is there, and also the zip file. Or, it's actually a tar gzipped. So make sure and grab that. That is both available on that page. We keep that user guide updated. It's mostly edited by myself and Alan, with a few team members being able to review it. But any feedback regarding the user guide or anything, please let us know. Oh, there you are.
Yeah.
Go.
So let's take a look. So when you first launch the app, it's going to ask you what branch from the project you want to grab. We can grab Ventura, save it to our desktop, and then you're presented with the different benchmarks. We're going to grab CIS, click OK, and sort by CIS control, and there you go. And on the right-hand side, you'll see that's all the YAML from the project. It gives you all the information you need. The YAML from the project contains the check, the fix, the result, if it's a configuration profile, any references, anything like that. We'll go over in a little bit how you can edit that, since you're able to customize whatever you want. So you might be wondering, how are we doing this? So we're curling the release from GitHub, and we're essentially building the project outside of the project. We're not using Git to clone, so if you make any changes, it's not going to go up. We are comparing the SHA value from the download, so we know if anything changes in the project. So if you download the project and we make a change, which we do a lot, the next time you launch it, it'll tell you, hey, there's an update to the project, and it merges in all the updated changes. But if you look at the format, it's essentially the project. So if you're familiar, you have the build folder, you have the scripts folder, you have everything that's in there, you have the rules, everything, custom, everything. So everything you need to use the project, but instead of using command line, you now have that GUI for you. And it's actually really, it's interesting, because when we first built it, it helped us find a lot of like typos or just like weird things that, we're human, so we make mistakes. But you basically get the whole project in a GUI instead of looking at a terminal. So now let's generate the content from the project. So this video is going to show you how the Create Guidance button works. What it's going to do. So it takes a little bit, but it's going to then build all the things. So you're going to get configuration profiles, compliance script, and then even extension attributes that are for Jamf Pro. So the Jamf Pro extension attributes are something that you get from Jamf Compliance Editor that would not be coming from MSCP.
If I can real quick, this is also the point in which an internet connection is also required, because this is an active GUI front end to the macOS Security Compliance project, in that it's Create Guidance and it's running the Python scripts for you and generating all that content from GitHub. So that's how interactive we are to the NIST GitHub repo.
So here you go. So we're going to go through each thing to just kind of go through what they are. So the first thing is the compliance script. It's very long, so just trust me. I don't even know. If you do all rules, it's ridiculous and kind of sad how big it is. But the script is required because you need to do the audit and the remediation. And for remediation, it's going to remediate anything that is not set by a profile. So the audit is checking both. Remediation's only doing things that need to be set by script. So like audit D, let's see, that fun Bluetooth sharing setting that still requires defaults. So anything like that. Next up is the ASCII doc file. I'm not going to zoom in on this because it's just blank, but ASCII doc is similar to Markdown. It's essentially a way for us to build the PDF and HTML guides for the project. So next is the HTML page. So from that ASCII doc, we generate all the descriptions, the fixes, everything from the project into an HTML guide. We also have a PDF version of it, and you can customize this with your own branding. So you're able to change the banner on both to represent your organization. So if you want to take CIS and tailor it to your organization, you can do so. And it'll even say on there, security configuration, CIS, and then it will say, it won't actually say CIS, it'll say security configuration organization tailored from CIS level 1. So it's a nice way. Lots of orgs love this. They're able to give this to their CISO or somebody else to review, give it to their auditors. Speaking of auditors, we also have this fabulous spreadsheet that Bob Gendler loves so much and continues to try to tweak every time he can. And then since this is Jamf Compliance Editor, we also have some Jamf Pro exports. And so what's in here is, the first one is a JSON file that will let us set exceptions. And then we also have the extension attributes that we can use for smart group calculations later on. Next up is the configuration profiles. So these are all the profiles that are generated from the YAML. And you'll see for macOS, there's quite a bit. So that's a lot. OK, so Jamf Pro upload. One of the things after we built the app, we knew we needed to upload the files into Jamf Pro. So this has been tweaked quite a bit. This is the new version that's in 1.2, so it's going to look a little different for people who are not familiar. We've added the ability for multiple server support. So if you're an MSP, super helpful, or if you're going between a prod server and a dev server. We've also added the ability to use the new API role in clients that came out in 1.2. As well, you can now choose what you want to upload. So previously, it was like a one-shot deal, just shoot up everything to your server. Now you just want to update the script. So if we make a change to some of the fixes or checks, you can just upload the script and it'll override it and update it. So it's also really good if you want to make a customized profile of something for like exceptions and you don't want to go into Pro, you can just do it in here and then send it up. One thing to note, anything that's uploaded isn't scoped at first. Test. You always want to test. We're human, right? So we're pretty good at it, but every once in a while we find like little errors and we fix them pretty quickly, and that's where that ability to merge into the product is nice. But always make sure once you build your benchmark, make sure you scope to testing machines, and then once you're comfortable and everything seems good, then you would then scope to the rest. All right, let's see. So now that we've uploaded everything, let's talk about how we can customize within the app.
Upload process.
Oh, sorry, now confused. So here's the upload process. Pretty simple. Put your client and secret, and then hit it, and there you go. If we then go next, I swapped out these slides right before. So now we have Jamf Pro 11. So you can see you have all the configuration profiles. They're always going to start with the OS release, so you're aware of what they are, and then the baseline name. So as you can see, they're not scoped. We also have the 4 extension attributes. And again, like I said, this is really not going to go over how to use a project in Pro. It's more of how we've built this app to get the stuff into Pro. The talk from last year is really, really good for explaining how to do all the scoping and everything, as well as the document that we have. Here's the script. And this is just the process. So one thing to note, the exemption file, it's one of those JSON schema profiles. You can't upload those with the API. So you have to manually upload it. There's a little pop-up that came up right after we uploaded in that demo. So this is just going to walk us through what that looks like at first. So you're going to name it. You're going to give it a custom schema. Upload it. Maybe. Choose it. And then once you load it, you're going to be presented with every rule from your benchmark. And at that point, you can set, hey, I want to exempt system settings SSH disable because they're remote workers who are going into this machine. So when it does the smart group calculations with the extension attributes, it'll see there's an exemption set so that it won't count as a finding. Well, it will be a finding, but it won't count against your score so that you'll pass your audit.
So a couple of keynotes regarding this. All of this is documented inside of the user guide. So how to edit the exception JSON so that it adequately understands all of this. But more importantly, when uploading that JSON, very clear understanding, it will only introduce rules that you have checked in Jamf Compliance Editor. It's thankfully got all that logic built in to make sure that if you're unchecking it, there's no reason to add an exception to it. So that's the reason for the uniqueness of how this is built.
So now we're going to go to customization. Totally forgot about the whole pro thing. So customization, you want to tailor included baselines. You can bring in a baseline you built previously with MSCP. You can add custom rules. And you can also do branding. So let's go take a look at what that will look like. So we're going to go to password policy. We're going to remove some rules, and you'll see that modified M that pops up. We're going to search for screensaver timeout. And we're going to change the ODV. So the organizational defined values, I'll go over that in a little bit to explain that. We'll hit done. We're going to say show all. So we're going to bring in a rule from CIS level 2 into level 1. You'll see the A gets added. And then we're going to grab a JNUC banner, a use banner. I'm going to add an author. I don't know who I added. Oh, I added Matt. Matt's not on there, so that'll show. And we hit create guidance, you're going to get prompted to what you want to name it. So this is where that tailoring, or where it goes tailored by. And then once it builds everything, we're going to save it. And you can save a JCE output. I'll also explain that in a few seconds. But that's essentially a JSON file. It lets you go between, if you need to update your previous settings, you're able to do so. We're going to go to that build folder. You'll see there's a JNUC 2023. And there you go. So now we have our whole custom baseline based off of CIS level 1. We pulled a CIS level 2 rule in, removed password policy, gave it some custom branding, also added an author. So if we go to the next slide, we'll see there's our custom branding. And you'll see security configuration. It didn't do the tailored one. I don't know why. That was probably a bug, but it should have done that. Oh, yeah. And we go to authors. You'll see Matt's been added as a...
Alan got added on that one.
What?
Alan got added on that one.
Oh, I was always on it. I don't know why, but yeah. But Matt's on there now as a security configuration tailored by. And then they have the original authors. If you go to table contents, you'll see the password policies now removed. And if I go to the mobile configs, we're going to go to that screensaver setting, and we'll see that idle time is now 900 rather than 1200. That's how you customize. So one thing to note, organization defined values. There are some settings in benchmarks and baselines that set values that are recommended if your company or organization decides to, hey, we want 900 seconds for our screensaver timeout. You're able to set that. There are a bunch of rules. If in the search you type ODV, it'll bring up all the rules that contain ODVs so that you can decide, hey, these are the settings we want to set on our Macs and that we feel comfortable with that may not be from the actual, benchmark or a baseline that you're tailoring from.
Cool. The next part is going through the audit function. So this is also something that just got added to JCE 1.2, in which we actually received some feedback, both from the field, but also our professional services team, that stated, hey, what if we're in the process of customizing our benchmark and we just want to see for a quick moment, how does this Mac that I'm managing, I've secured, how does it fit? What is its score? Is it compliant? So we have a new audit function within the app. It does allow you to export the results via CSV, so you can ascertain that, but also very valuable if you have offline Macs. They are in air-gapped networks, or they're in other situations in which you just need a one-time check of that particular device against your customized benchmark. So this particular video will start to take you through the understanding that the audit button itself, I don't think yep.
It's actually a video.
Yep. So the audit button will not be available until after the create guidance has been completed. Something that we're very quickly working on as well is if you do customize this in any way and you're having to create new guidance, we're going to make sure that the audit button's grayed out. So
it's in there.
Oh, it's in there.
Yeah.
We released it. So when you see audit grayed out, that's because you have not clicked on create guidance yet. So this is the screen in which you get to review the Mac itself, the hosting Mac of JCE. Then you are allowed to click on the Run button, and at that point, it's going and actually doing that check, the audit script check. So then the results will then be presented. How long does this take?
It's not a video, just click.
Yeah. So result 48%, and obviously Alan did this portion of the slides.
Yeah.
And you'll see where did we fail, what were the failed results, what does it look like, and you'll also see on the left pane that the results will be listed in timely order of when did you actually exercise the audit results. And there you go. More details regarding which one did it fail. There's the exportable button allowing you to click that CSV and save it somewhere. So we wanted to very quickly in the last 2 minutes before we get to FAQs was why is it free? One of the things that we keep getting asked is like, hey, is this free for now? Is it going to be paid later? Is it what's happening there? Right now, because this is particularly built on the macOS Security Compliance Project, it's hosted by NIST, which is a GitHub repository by a US government agency. So in no way can we be making money off of this GUI front end of that application. So this will stay free. We wanted to make sure all of you are aware of that. So, hey, we finally got an applause.
We got one at the keynote.
Yeah, I did get it. Thank you for all of those, by the way, that applaud during the keynote. We're very well aware here at Jamf that compliance is a huge deal. So that's the reason for this app. Did this get tested? Specifically, JCE 1.2 get tested on macOS Sonoma? Yes, we have tested it and no problems. Yeah. Yep. More baselines and benchmarks. Oh, I wanted to call this out. I've had a couple of requests come in stating, hey, more specifically, you've got a list. It's great. It covers so many. There's also internationals that are not in the list, or there's another one that's not in the list. we're actually going to point you towards the macOS Security Compliance Project. Please head over to the GitHub and make the request within GitHub that you would like to see another benchmark added. And that allows authors like Alan to go and review the capability of the benchmark and whether or not it should be added and, to that project. Once it's added to the NIST GitHub repo, that's when it starts to be added to JCE. Once again, we're just a GUI front end to the MSCP project. So the last one, what is it not? So this is.
You want me to?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So JCE is not CIS.
Yep,
yeah,
that's one
that comes up a lot. MSCP is not CIS. JCE is not MSCP.
And
what else?
It's also not part of Jamf Protect. It's not a part of that product. We're very well aware that Jamf Protect has the insight up capability of auditing against the CIS security benchmark. Great portion of it, but this is not a tool that's an adjacent to that. It is a separate app. Once again, GUI to MSCP.
And we're looking into all of those things, so
yes.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, please stay tuned to absolutely all of the Jamf Protect release notes, Jamf Pro release notes. We've got a lot of ideas, so we look forward to enhancing this over time. That completes our FAQ portion before we actually get into questions. So Aaron, over to you.
Awesome, thank you. So you've basically answered most of the questions during that FAQ.
All right, cool.
There goes Alan. Alan's like off the stage first.
I'll go through a couple that have also been answered in the chat, just in case there's people listening or in the audience that might not have seen them. So there's like any idea when the Sonoma editor will be available?
For MSCP? We are working on it. We will have it before release with some other goodies.
Cool. And then you've got some people just saying this is the best tool ever in there. And one that is, are the names of the objects that will be uploaded to Jamf Pro customizable so that it can match existing naming conventions?
No.
Not today.
But
it's a great feature request.
It's a feature request. Like I said, it is going to be OS baseline what the setting is. So that's just how it is with from MSCP, because we're basically building it from that.
And if you happen to have any feature requests, inside of the user guide, we actually have a dedicated email address that emails both Alan and I, as well as the rest of the development team, about feature requests. So please use that. It's something long. I don't know what.
Yeah.
We need to shrink.
Or just find
we need to
me
shrink
on
it.
Mac Admin Slack or don't. I don't know.
Cool. We've got also, if you upload multiple baselines to Jamf with uploading, overlapping remediation scripts or profiles are duplicated. Yeah, like what do you do, basically?
What?
I read it wrong, but it's basically if you upload multiple baselines to Jamf with overlapping remediation scripts or profiles are duplicates.
The script will be a separate name. So it's like the profile, it will be Ventura compliance.sh. Monterey compliance.sh, Sonoma compliance.sh.
I think there's another portion to the question. I think if you upload CIS level 2 as well as a NIST 853 moderate and scope them to the same device, what happens?
The profile, so whichever hits first wins. So it follows the same standard because it's going to the payload. So
highest recommendation, try your best to only scope one security benchmark to a particular endpoint.
Yeah.
This one's getting upvoted in the platform. So it says, are there plans to add support for iOS, iPadOS compliance standards?
So if you go to GitHub, there is a development branch that says dev iOS 16 and dev iOS 17. So I said on Monday, or like Monday, everything's coming out, right? When we release, I think that's going to be part of the release. It will still be MSCP. It's just going to be iOS branches. We need to work on JCE to add that, but yeah. tea leaves. Keep in mind, iOS, it's just going to be the profiles. There's no way to check and do fixes, just profiles. So, but you'll get all those things. It's just for JCE, just give it a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we got a test. Anything else?
I think you've pretty much answered all of the other questions that we've gotten here. So yeah.
In that case, I'd actually like for all of you to take a moment and even virtually. None of this is possible without the macOS Security Compliance Project and even the capabilities coming to iOS. So can you all please give a round of applause to Alan?
And Bob and Dan. Also, like...
Yeah. So there's also at least 3 other individuals. Those that are attending virtually, if you didn't hear, there was a great applause for you that work on the macOS Security Compliance Project. And we'd like to thank you because you just made all of our lives easier in making compliance on macOS so much easier and relevant and up-to-date at the time of release of macOS. So we'd just like to take just a quick moment to say thank you to that team.
Also, Richard.
And Richard, yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. We called him out earlier. So thank you all. I think we've got to get out of this room now, don't we?
Please.
Yeah, in a minute.
Yeah. Bye.